Yep. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday we learned about working with React components. So we discussed about how do we use React components and components by using components, one small interface we designed. So yesterday we created an interface by using the components. So this is the application we created, and this is web app, and it is a general web application. In that one page we created a simple React environment, and by using the components hierarchy, we designed this Netflix like interface we created. In this we are using for styling, we are using Bootstrap also for this. Have you tried? Able to do that? So you must practice these so that I can give you some task while learning some topics now. Related to every topic, I will give you some task you must try. So after understanding this, now this complete approach of using React, creating environment for React, we done with the help of React 17. Up to 17 version, we follow this approach. From React 18 onwards, the library have some changes. React 18 is completely reconstructed. That means earlier React versions are different from this. Even library also changed. The library, the functions, little change in the environment. You saw how to create a virtual DOM. To create a virtual DOM in React 17, what we do is we use React DOM dot which method render. But from React 18, they introduced a method called create root. So that means completely the method changed. So that means React 18 is built with several new libraries. Internally, they modified the libraries. Now, up to now, from few days, what we saw is React 17. Up to 17 version, how the library works. But now we will see how to create a React 18 application. So React 18 application. So complete React 18 infrastructure, how it looks like, how to build it, we will see the process. So technically, React 18 is a complete rewrite of React, is a complete rewrite of React. So it provides a new approach for building interfaces. It provides a new approach for building interfaces. So you can build interactive interface for web and native apps. So it is a complete rewrite of React. It provides a new approach. That means React 18 onwards, CDN libraries are not the React environment and you need to build the application. So up to React 17, how the library works, I already showed you the basic library, how it works. Now, yesterday already I explained that we build a complete React application by using configuration tools. And the configuration tools we have like Webpack, Parcel, White. Yesterday I given a list. These tools are popular for building complete interface for a project. And if you are using the basic, if you are using technically, right? So if you are using this library, NPM provides support for Webpack library, for Webpack bundling tool. So which is used to configure and create a React application. It is used to configure and create a React application. It provides a bundling tool. Webpack bundling tool, which is used to create and configure the application. So previous example was using React in an existing application. Now we will learn how to create a separate React application, how to build a separate React application, and we can practice all the React concepts in that. And at the end, we will learn again how to build every concept of React manually. So how to create a React application with 18 features. What you have to do is, first point, you need to open your PC location in a command prompt to create React project. Open your PC location in command prompt. And before that, make sure that you have installed Node.js. Already I showed you in the first session how to set up. So open your PC location in command prompt. And any location on your PC where you want to create a project. So that means in my computer, I am opening the command prompt, CMD. In this command prompt, I will change into my drives. I have some D drive and all. Suppose I will go to some F drive I have. Now you change into a drive where you want to create a project. So here we have to run a command. What is the command? Is run the following command. So in your PC location in command prompt, you have to run the command npx create React app and your app name. I just given some app name as React project something. So you can give any name for your project. You can give any name for your project. You can define any name. So npx create React app and the React project. Now what it will do is it will create a project environment completely for you, and every configuration is set for you. So just run the command npx. So npx is Node Package Manager's Webpack tool. It is, and create React app. It is a command. Capitalization, everything matters. You have to write exactly in the same way, and you need to define here. So React app. Yeah. Now here you need to define the app name. App name is React project. You can give any name for your React project. Avoid using spaces and all. Just use a single word or hyphen as a separator. Now, when you define this and hit enter, now it is going to download all the libraries that you need for a app. In our previous session, what we done is manually created this, and see it is installing React DOM, all the libraries it is installing. That means it is creating a complete project environment for you. In our previous example, what we done is manually we designed. Manually we created one folder. In that we created the file system, package JSON, README, public and SRC folders, index HTML, everything manually we done. But now it will create everything implicitly. That means it will install everything what is needed for a React project. And it will download all the libraries also. In our previous example, every library we manually downloaded. React library, React DOM library, and Babel library, everything we downloaded. But here it will set up everything for you. You can see Babel core is being installed. So it will take some time to create a complete project environment for you. Once the project environment is created, now how it looks like, what is the environment it looks like, we will see. So what we need to do after creating the project, now you can open project folder. So this is React project in VS Code, Visual Studio Code. It will be created in F drive by the same name that you have given for the project in Visual Studio Code. So once the project is created for you, we will see the project infrastructure. What is the file system, how it looks like. So this still creating. It will take some time to create everything. And once it is created, how the flow works, I will show you. The file system also I will show. Now, let's see the basic flow, how your React application is going to work. And it is not necessary that you have to use this npx. Already yesterday I showed you parcel white, like third parties are there, we can use them. But because already we are using Node.js, we will go with npx. Now, how the React application actually works? Because this is your first introduction to React, We will not go much in technical concept of architecture that you will later do. Later you will detailedly learn the architecture. Outline flow, I will first explain high level. After that, very in-depth architecture we will see. Generally, what happens is React application, usually we already designed one application, so we have an idea. Actual React application starts with one HTML page. We will have a HTML page called index.html. And in this index.html, there will be one container. And you saw that this container will have a ID as what? Root. And directly we don't design everything inside this index.html. So generally, where we design everything in a component. In a component, we create everything. So now in a project, what happens is in a project environment, how it works is this is index.html and you will have another file index.js. So another file will be index.js. And by default, you will have a app component app.js. Actually, this app.js is a function. It is a function by name app. That means it is nothing but it is a component. That means it will return some markup. It is going to return some markup. I will just first show you the flow. That means generally what happens is you will have app.js. This app.js is a component. You have a component. Already what is a component we learned. And in our previous class, we created components already. Now this app.js component is imported into index.js. We import that app.component into index.js. That means here in index.js, what we do is we import and here we will create a constant. So root, we create a root here. So we create a root here. Complete syntax later I will give, just I am explaining a option. So we have a create root method. By using that, we create a root and into the root we render. That means it is going to render an app. App is what? Component. This is the app component. That means app.js, it is a component file. In this component file, we design the component. And we import the component into this index.js and we render this into the virtual DOM. That means now index.html is using which page? Index.js. And what index.js have? It will create a virtual DOM and it will render this app component into the virtual DOM. So previously what we done, we maintained all these in one file, in one place, in one script tag we written yesterday. But now they are separate files. Every component is a separate file. We import the component and we inject into the index. This index will be used in this index.html. Now this index.html you will be watching. That means, so when you start your React application, this index.html will come. And the logic for index.html is coming from index.js. And the component for index.js is coming from app.js. App.js. And here this index.html is present in public folder. because all static resources are kept in public. And these two files are present in SRC folder because all dynamic resources are kept in SRC. CSS files, JavaScript files, all files are kept in SRC. Now, this is the basic project environment. And this environment we don't need to create, already it is created. You just need to start using it. So observe carefully. The project created successfully. That means it created the project successfully. Which command we are using? npx create react app. And project is created by name React project. Right now, close this. Project successfully created. Now you open this in Visual Studio Code. In Visual Studio Code, we are opening that project folder. This is our editor, and we created the project file open folder, and we are opening this in the location, and it is in my F drive, and it is React project. I am having a React project. I select it and open. And interestingly, you will see that the infrastructure is already set. And I hope there is no need to explain any part here. You already know them because these we created manually earlier. Earlier in our previous approach, we manually designed this, but now they are automatically generated. And only one additional file you will see here. So what is node modules? Whatever libraries that you install in your project, all library related files are kept in node modules. You saw React, React DOM, Babel, everything was in node modules. What is public? Static resources, SRC, dynamic resources. That means we already created this environment in our previous class, but now it is auto generated. And git ignore is nothing but, later I will show you how we can connect our project to Git. Git you can host on cloud and you can maintain your project on cloud. Once we learn, Git ignore will tell which library need to be ignored while publishing on Git. So Git related configurations related to which library to allow, which library not to allow, we can define inside this Git ignore. That will be later helpful when you are publishing. Package JSON already we learned. What is package JSON? Metadata. Already we discussed how to generate package JSON. We run a command npm init y. And readme also I showed you. Readme is a help document which automatically contains information about how a developer can use this project. Already we discussed that it is a document designed by developer for developers, right? So this environment is not new for us. Already we know this because the same environment we manually created in our previous class. And that is what important to understand. That means why you need public, why you need SRC and all. So what is the basic file system now? So here, project infrastructure comprises of various files and folders. Comprises of various files and folders. So you have node modules. It contains the library files installed on your project. Public, so it comprises of static resources like HTML, images, docs, media clips, etc. SRC, it comprises of dynamic resources. Dynamic resources like .js, .jsx. We have like .ts, .tsx, .css, .scss, .less. These are all dynamic resources. So traditionally, these are very common. Every project have these. Git ignore. So it configures the repository to ignore while publishing on Git. Repository to ignore while publishing on Git. This is later required when you are doing production at production level. Next, we are having package.json. It is project. It contains project metadata. Project metadata and its relative file will be page lock.json. It is used for migrations. Actually, project lock JSON is used for migration. So if you are migrating from one version to another version, already which version you are using and what is the target version and which version library is already installed, into which version you need to convert, everything is tracked and everything is maintained in this file, package lock JSON. And we have readme .md. It is a help document for developers. It is a help document for developers. So in our previous example, what we done is, in our previous example, we manually created everything. We generated package JSON, we added README file, we added public SRC folders and all. Right. Now, how this project is going to work? That means the infrastructure is there. And we discussed the flow now. How this is going to work, I will show you. That means React application flow. React application flow. This is at high level. Generally, high level, low level designs will be there. High level design is just an outline. Low level design is in detail. Low level design you will see later, because internally how everything works you will see later. So what is the high level design? What is the basic React application flow is? First point, you should know that To start a web application, you need a server. Every web application runs on server. Already you learned your HTML, CSS because we recommend like that. Generally, what HTML, CSS people do when they learn HTML, CSS like concepts, they will create one HTML page and they will try to run that HTML page with a right click, open in browser. That is not the good way of dealing with a web project. Always a web application should run on server. So make sure that you have a server, you are running application on server. And what this React application have is it inbuilt have a server. That means React Webpack. Currently we are using NPX. NPX uses which tool? Webpack. React Webpack hosts your application on a local server. So it creates a server. It creates a server locally that runs on port number. Default port number will be 3000. That runs on port number 3000. That is the default port number for React application in any computer in the world. And this you can change. You can change the port number whatever you want, but that you can do if you created the server. That means later at the end of React, we will learn how to build a complete React application manually. This is not manually built React application. This is a React application built by a tool. And in general development, we use both. We use tools and we manually also create. Manually, when you create, you will add all what you need into it. And with a tool, when you create everything, it will generate for you. That means automatically everything is generated. You have to just use it. So once you are completely aware of React project, then you will learn how to create manually. So currently we are using React application designed by a tool. And what is the tool name? Webpack. What this tool will do, it will maintain a server for your project and it will run your project in a port number 3000. How to start it is, what you have to do is, so open your project terminal in Visual Studio Code, VS Code, project terminal in VS Code and run the command. You have to run the command npm start. You have to run the command npm start. You need to run the command npm start. When you run the command npm start, this command will start a server and it will host your application on the server. And usually, so your server starts listening on http://127.001:3000. That is the port number. Or it can be like http://localhost and port number is 3000. Your server starts listening on this particular number. Generally, we don't use the word server is running. So we don't use the word server is running. We use the word server is listening. What is the concept of a web application, web server? What is the concept of web server you learned in HTML web? So what is a server? server manages the request from the client and it will send a response. The main work of server is to manage request and response. That means server is listening, you make a request. That is what we do technically. We say that server is listening, you make a request. We don't say that server is running. Server will not run, server will start listening. So once server start listening, you make a request, it will respond. That means now what you have to do is you have to run this npm start and automatically it will start server which will be listening on this port number. And it is actually local computer IP address. In every computer, the IP address is same. Local IP address is same. You can use IP address or use the word localhost. So what you have to do is now in this project, open the terminal. This is the terminal. In the project terminal, you have to run the command npm start. Actually, what is this npm start? Means in experience level interviews, they ask too many questions. That means architecture behind everything that you are using. For freshers, how they ask in interview is, for fresher, they ask what is a browser and name some browsers. That is a fresher question. Experience question is how browser works. Explain the architecture of browser. That is the point. That means for a fresher, we ask like what is Java? And for experience, we ask explain its architecture. So how you write a program in Java? For experienced person, we ask tell me how it runs. Who compiles it? In compiler, what components are present? Explain them. That means you must, at experience level, you must know who compiles it. And in compiler, who manages which activity. That means experience level questions always will be related to the architecture behind this. Fresher question will be what is it? And experience question will be how it is working. Explain the architecture behind this. So in many React interviews, we have seen they ask this question, what is this npm start? And every web developer who worked with basic web designing, he knows that this is a batch program. These are all batch program. We used the commands npm install bootstrap. They are all called batch programs. Batch programs are nothing but actually what happens is, suppose I want to install React, React DOM, Bootstrap, Babel in my project. Regularly, I have to do that. Then usually what happens is you have to run the commands like this. What are the commands we need to run? npm install. One is what? Bootstrap. Another one npm install what? Bootstrap icons. Bootstrap icons. npm install React and npm install React DOM. Like this, lot of works I have to do regularly. Then what developer can do is he can keep all these commands under one name. He can keep all these commands under one name. And this is called as a batch name. And what is the advantage is when he runs this name, automatically all these will run. That means a batch program contains a set of commands kept in a sequential order and stored under one name. You run that name, automatically all these commands will work. All these commands will work. So actually, where you design these batch programs, these batch programs in a project we design in package.json. In package.json, we design these batch programs. I will show you one point. Let's see. For example, see, we will go to package.json. In package.json, lot of information is present. Here, you will find a scripts category. In the scripts category, Just you put a simple additional one more key and value. It's a JSON file. You know, JSON have a key and a value. What is the key? You put any key. For example, I will put the key as bootstrap. Okay, good. Then when I run bootstrap, what it should do? You tell the command what it should do. It should install npm install what it is, bootstrap, and what? Bootstrap icons. This it has to do. That means now once you set up the batch program, that means the sequence of commands to execute, you mentioned that, then generally open the terminal now. In the terminal, now you can run npm run bootstrap. That is your command name. Npm run bootstrap. This is our command name that we mentioned in package.json. Then when you run this automatically, when I hit enter, it is going to execute the command and it is installing bootstrap and bootstrap icons. It is installing bootstrap icons. I press Control C, Control C, terminate batch job. It is asking, do you want to terminate this job? Because before it is installed, I cancelled it. Control C is to terminate any batch operation, right? So if I say Control C, it is saying terminate. Do you want me to stop? Yes. So you can stop, terminate the batch job, it will stop. It will not continue installing. That means any commands, any set of commands that are regularly needed to a developer, he will create a batch program. And that batch program he will simply run. Just by using one command, he can execute a lot of commands in a sequential order. Hundreds of commands he need, because see, you are learning at learning level, only 3-4 stages of execution will be there. But at production level, at real-time development level, hundreds of sequential operations will be there. Hundreds of sequential operations, developer cannot sit and write every day. That is not great. He will create one simple batch program, and batch programs are not for one-time use, regular. If you are regularly using this again and again, then you create a batch program. You don't unnecessarily create. And how we create the batch programs and where we create those programs in package.json. So if anybody asks like, what is this npm start? npm start is nothing but I hit enter. Now what it will do? It will do lot of sequential things. First, it will open the compiler. It will compile all your code that you written in React. After compiling, if it checks the code and compiler feels that everything is correct, then it will load a server. It will execute the server. It will start the server. And after server started, it will load your successfully compiled app in that server and provides to you. So this much work, it only one command is doing. No, in the background, there are so many commands. In the background, there are so many commands. You want to see what are the commands behind it? You can see here. You see start have commands. What is the command? React scripts. Another one is start. Do you know what these are? React scripts is nothing but it is going to compile the React application. This command is to compile the React application, and this command is to start the server. Once it is successfully compiled, it will start the server. Right? Once it starts the server, your application is ready. Remember, instead of doing this, these two commands you can individually run. First, React scripts. After that, start. You can individually run npm run React scripts, npm run start. Instead of doing that, you can just use one command. What is it? Start. That means you are just running this now. You see npm start and hit enter. That means it will start executing your project. And you see Control C, I use it. It's a batch job. That is a batch job. So batch job, and see it is using React scripts and it is starting. And I don't want here terminate it. Okay, I will run this again, npm start, then it will start. And you can observe here, it is going to compile your application. and it is going to start the Webpack server. You see, starting the development server, and it automatically launches your application. Automatically it launches your application. Even if it doesn't launch, it doesn't matter. I will show you how to launch that application, right? And you can see that it is still executing so many things in the background. Babel compilers and everything it is doing in the background. And once it is compiled successfully, you see Webpack compiled successfully, and your port number is this one. This is localhost 3000. And this is actually on local server, and this is on your network. Network means it is through internet also you can access, but it requires connectivity with the cloud environments. Later you will see that. So initially this local server we have to run. So what you do, open any browser. You see this is working. Even it doesn't open, no matter anything problem. Here what we have to request, http:// you know the address. What is it? Localhost and port number 3000 is the port number. Then it will start your React app. This is a React application, and important is, you have a doubt like from where this is coming, right? Where this is coming from. And this is coming from index.html. Already I explained the flow. That means which page will start when you request here. So what you are requesting from browser, http:// localhost and 3000. When you request this, what happens is, first it will get you the index.html page. And the index.html page related logic is present in index.js. But in index.js directly the components are not designed. Components are separately designed. We have a separate component by name what? App.js. And this component is being used here, and this is rendered here. We will check that now. Let's go to the project now. Keep this running in the background. You can close your terminal, and you see now we will go to public folder. There is index.html. And when I open index.html, you will see that index.html is using the same thing what we done manually. You see in the body section, it is using a script. What is it? New script, no script. What is its purpose? It verifies whether JavaScript is running in browser or not. Already we written it manually, and see it has a actual DOM element. Actual DOM element is what? Div. And what is div ID? Root. But there is no logic related to that. Yesterday what we done, all the logic we written in the script in head section. But now entire logic is maintained in another file. Which file? Index.js. Let's go to index.js, where you will find that src. In src you see index.js, and index.js is using a root, and this time it is using a react dom.create root, and it is using root.render. This is the new version syntax. What is the old version syntax? Old version range syntax is what? React dom.render. Render which component to render and where to render. Am I right? Now this is changed in the new version. They added a new function. That means they added a new function, and they added a new library, React DOM client library. That is the reason React latest version is completely different from the previous versions of React in terms of library, in terms of approach of building an app also. How you build an app, its approach also changed. We will see that, how the approach changes. But remember here, it is rendering. Which component it is rendering? App. And this app is enclosed in a strict mode. And you know the strict mode meaning. In JavaScript, you learned, right? In JavaScript, you learned about use strict. Am I right? What is JavaScript strict mode? In JavaScript, you learned about strict mode. No? For example, I will give a demo HTML page. And here I am writing a script. In the script x equal to 10, document here, document dot write x equal to the value of x. Actually, what is x? What is x? It is a variable, but I haven't declared this variable anywhere. I am directly assigning some value into it. I am using it. Without declaring a variable, can we use a variable? In JavaScript, it is allowed if JavaScript is not in strict mode. In JavaScript, it is allowed, but this is not good programming. That means we should not allow developers to violate the programming standards. That means one drawback with JavaScript is a developer is not following the standards. Without following standards, he is writing the logic, it will work. But we don't want it to work because it leads to a lot of code inconsistency. Then what we do is we force JavaScript developers to write as per standards. That means you see, as of now, it is working. When I run this, you can see it is working. It is working fine. So let's inspect. And you see in the console, you can see that here there is no problem. But I don't want this to happen. I want my JavaScript developer to follow the standards, rules. Then we will ask to turn on the strict mode. How to turn on the strict mode? Use strict. Use strict is used in JavaScript to turn on the strict mode. When JavaScript is in strict mode, it will not allow to violate any standards of coding. If you don't follow the rules and you write the logic, it will reject. Generally, it will accept, but we don't want, because one person will write in one way, another one person in another way. Lot of inconsistency will come. That's the reason we force our developers to follow the standards. And for that, we need to turn on the strict mode. When you turn on the strict mode, now this code will go wrong. It says invalid. Why it is invalid? Because x is not defined. What is this x? You haven't mentioned about it. Then you cannot use it. Then developer have to follow the rule like var x. He need to declare. Now it will work. It will work. If strict mode is off, if you turn on the strict mode, you remove that strict, then it will allow you to write whatever shortcuts you know. And it is not good for programming. That means we cannot allow developers to violate the standards. Any technology like scripting technology, it always depends on the strict mode. So, and React also have a strict mode. The same, because React is a JavaScript based one. So, and you can see in src index.js, it is using React strict mode. What is this React strict mode? It will not allow our developers to violate the rules in these components. That means our developers have to follow certain standards and design the components. It will verify whether that component is designed as per the rules. As per the rules. You may violate the rules because you may learn a lot of shortcuts. For example, more points I will tell you. What do you mean by rules? That means actually, I hope you people, you learn like a if condition. You learned an if condition. If condition. And the if condition statement on true and else statement on false. Generally, you might have learned in various programming languages like if condition, I can write true and I can write else false. What is difference? I am not using a block here. That means I am not using a curly brace here. Without the curly brace, we can write a statement with if and else. Am I right? But this is bad coding. You may learn like it is shortcut, but it is nonsense. It's not shortcut. Why it is nonsense? Because the point is, what is the purpose of this curly brace? To tell where to start, where to stop. without writing that what you are trying to tell, without writing where to start, where to stop, what you are trying to tell. You are trying to tell the compiler that you imagine where to start. That's nonsense. You are wasting the time of compiler. You may think like this is shortcut, but this is not accepted code in real time. You want to see the rules of programming, then you have several code analyzing softwares. You know PMD, Sonar, you heard about them. PMD, Sonar, these are the code analyzing softwares used in real-time project development. And of course, you can see here, see, I will show you the point here. PMD, this is PMD. It is a code analyzer. You are learning Java, .NET, PHP, Python, any coding programming languages. Go to the documentation. In the documentation, you see rule reference. In that Java rules, JavaScript rules, everything will be there. All rules will be there. Okay, let's go to the Java rules and code styles. Okay, in the code styles best practices. Okay, best practices I will show you here. In the best practices, actually this is all very complex Java things. Yeah, and I will do one thing. So we will take to the simple ones. Best practices. Yeah. You go to the best practices and you can see that it is showing you some coding styles. And what are the coding styles is, means the rules. Yeah, you can see that it is showing the rules. It is an if statement. You can see that this is okay and this is bad. That is okay and this is bad. This is bad. It is not saying invalid. It is saying it is bad. That means who is saying this is bad? People who developed the language, they are saying. After all, who are you to invent new shortcuts into it? That means people who developed the technology, they say that this is the bad way of writing the code. And after all, who are you? You are misguiding the developers. You are misguiding the coding people by introducing some shortcuts which are nonsense to compiler. Compiler takes lot of time in, wastes its time in understanding your nonsense shortcuts. And we don't want get entertained with your shortcuts. Even it is a lengthy process, compiler should easily understand. Generally, when a person tries to tell you a shortcut, you will be very excited. Oh, this lengthy program I can write in a short way. You will clap, you will whistle, you will laugh. But finally, when you go to company and try to write the same thing, your team lead will laugh and try to slap you, not clap. He will say that from where you learned, who told you to write like this? These are the problems you will face. Why? Because these shortcuts are not great. Why you are worried about shortcuts? Do you know coding platforms, coding environments have minifying tools? That means you write the logic, they will compress, they will make it short. Why you are worried about short? You know minification in JavaScript, CSS. You write a lengthy logic, it will keep it short. It will compress it and give it to you. Why you are worried about short? Don't worry. That is the reason. One of the major problem is code inconsistency. When you write logic, you should write in a best way which compiler can easily understand. And we have a threat that people coming from different learning backgrounds working in my project, he will put whatever shortcut he learns. And that will create lot of mess up in the project. So we don't want them to do that. So what we do, we turn on the strict mode. Actually, without this strict mode also, we can set up this. I will show you without that what will happen. With that what will happen. We will see both concepts. Where to remove this also I will show you. Remember, when you are finally publishing a website live, this will not be there. While developing only it will be there. That means we have two modes, development mode and production mode. Production mode means it will go live. When it is going live, we will remove all such things. You learnt exception handling, right? Java, .NET, all these people learn exception handling. Do you know in real, when application goes live, there should not be any exception handling. That means when application goes live, there should not be any exception handling. That means what you will show to user, you will just show user understandable error messages. You will not show any exception messages. Exception messages are only for designing. Once you finish it designing, it is going to publish, it will change the code. Certain things we need to remove from our code and we have to put it. While development, you need this strict mode. While production, you don't need this. In development, you have to keep the strict mode. So we will see the new concept now. What will happen? When you run this, it will start. Now, what you have to understand is application starts with which page? Index.html. Index.html. It have a div with an ID root. Now, logic for index.html is defined in index.js. Is defined in index.js. And here, React up to 17x versions, index.js will be React DOM.render. And the component, and it will be document get element by ID. And it will render in which location? Root. This is up to React 18x versions. They will use a constant root. So we have a create root method, document dot get element by ID. We will use root. So after this, root dot render method, it will render react dot strict mode. In that you have to define the component. React dot strict mode. This is the new syntax. The old syntax directly react DOM dot render. So create root is a new method. So here some key points you need to understand here is, so note here. So create root is used to create virtual DOM. Use it to create virtual DOM from 18x versions. Create root is used to create virtual DOM from 18x versions. Earlier we used to do React DOM. And React strict mode is used to turn strict mode on for developers. In strict mode on for developers, what is the purpose is strict mode. Strict mode will prevent code inconsistency. Will prevent code inconsistency. So it is used only in design mode, in development mode. It is used only in development, not for production. So project have three environments. What are those? Development, quality, and production. Every project is built in three environments: development, quality, production. In development, we build the project. In quality, we test it, and in production, we make it live, go live. Okay, now it is using one component. By default, your project is using one component by name app. So we haven't created that app. So that is already built. That means every project by default comes with a component called app. Now, if you want, you can create your own component. You can create your own component and you can use your own component. That means you see, by default, when you open the React project, you can see that. So the React project is by default using app component. And if you want, you can see these are app component related some files. Index related CSS files also present. Later you will understand other files. No need to worry about them, right? Now what we need to do is we need to create our own component and keep it in the startup. Just like last session, what we done, we created a Netflix environment or login. I want our own component here. By default, some existing ready-made component is coming. We don't want that. We want our own component. Let's see how to add our own component to come, not this one, right? So how we can add your own component? If you want, you can modify this. That means this screen is coming from where? This screen is coming from app component. App component have a app component JS file. It is coming from there. You can go there and modify it. We will not do that. We will create our own component. Let's do that. How to create a component and add a component into this project. So add a new component into React application. Add a new component into React application. And remember, traditionally, every component comprises of following files. Every component comprises of following files: .tsx, .css, and .test.js. Sorry, JSX, not, it is not TypeScript, JSX. JSX and CSS, test.css, test.js. Every component comprises of three files. And it is not necessary to have 3 files. That depends on your requirement. Actually, for every component, 1 file is enough. So what is this JSX file? It comprises of markup to return. Which markup you want to return, markup to return, and the logic for component related logic and component related design is present inside this JSX file. CSS, it comprises of styles. And what is this test.js is? It comprises of test functions used to test your component. What is testing is nothing but verifying whether the design that you created is according to the client requirements or not. That means, for example, this you will see at the end how to test your projects that requires testing tools and all to set up all. That means, for example, in a project requirement, our client says that I want a login screen. In that login screen, I need user ID, password, login button, and I want recover password link. And you designed a login screen. In that recover password link is missing. You haven't designed it. But according to the client requirements, he want it. That means what we do is we write a test case. In the test case, we will verify is a recover password link is there in the screen or not. If it is there, if it is working or properly or not. That is all by using what? Test. We can verify what colors client is asking and what colors developer have used. What result client is expecting, what result your function is giving. So these all are verified by using test. So initially this test is not required. Initially we need only one. What is it? JS. If you want separately styles, then put a CSS also. Then what we will do is go to the project. In the project and where to keep the components. Make sure that all the dynamic files are in which folder? SRC. So what you do is go to SRC folder and add a child folder, a subfolder, you can say subfolder for component, for every component. That is the good way. Add a subfolder for every component. Go to SRC folder and add a subfolder for every component. That means what we will do in SRC, we will put a folder called some login. Login is the folder. In that, what are the files? Login.jsx and login dot what? CSS and login dot what? Test.js. These two are optional. These two are optional. So for every component, traditionally we have 3 files. The JSX, because you know that JSX is the language used by React. It will not directly use JavaScript. Even .js extension also will work, no problem. But the recommended is what? JSX. So you see now, let's go to the components here. That means go to SRC, add a new folder. And what is the folder name? Login. I am adding a new folder by name login in SRC. You can do more better. Better what you can do is you can maintain a separate components folder in that again subfolders, or simply I will just keep here. I will delete this now. Okay. I will keep it more better because later we will have not only components, other services will come. So separate folders are good. So in SRC, I can create a subfolder by name components. In that components, I will add a folder. And what is that folder? Login. All components we will maintain in that folder, right? So I can add another folder like register, something like this. Now in every folder, we need three files. One is what? Login.jsx, another file. What is it? Login.css, and another file, login.test.js. These are the three files required for a component. But this we will later learn. For that, we need testing tools. So we need testing frameworks to understand. So now you go to the login.jsx, and here we have to create a component. And how to create a component? Component is a function. And we learned the rules about component. Component name must start with a capital letter. Component name is what? Login. And it should return what? It should return a fragment. And in the fragment, you can design anything. Suppose I kept here user login. And here we have a data list, data term, some user name. And we have input type text. And self-ending is required, and password. And we have input type password, and close. And we have a button, and this button is what? Login. Okay. Now you learned JavaScript module system. In JavaScript module system, what you learned is you can create classes, you can create functions in a separate file. We can import them and use. You learned module systems now, OOP concept in JavaScript. In JavaScript OOP concept, you have module systems. That means functions, classes, variables you can maintain in a separate file. You can import them and you can use them. And when you write any function or any class in a separate file, it is not accessible outside this file. It is available only this file. It is not accessible outside, but we need to access this outside and use in index. Then you know that everything should be marked with what? Export. You learned JavaScript import export statements, how to import and export the functions, classes in JavaScript, right? Now you should mark it with export. It is mandatory. Once you do this, now login is ready. Now what we will do is we will go to index.js. In index.js, which component it is using? App. But we want to use our component. Which one? Login. So what we can do is here we have to import. Import which component? Login. It is in components login. That is the JSX file it is actually. Now here we need to start with which one? Login. You just keep that login in the startup. Then you can see that in the output now your login is there. That means now application starts with your login component. And for this login component, suppose we are adding, this is login JSX, and I keep this in a form, and I keep that here. Now I want some styles for this login component. I want styles for the login component. Then what you can do, go to login.css. Here you can write the styles. But be careful, when you are writing CSS, don't use type selectors. Always use class ID selectors. Type selector means directly tag name. When you directly use tag name, it will affect all components. That is the reason always use class selectors or ID selectors. How do you write class selectors? Dot. So suppose I given as form login. Okay, what effects you want for form login? I will keep border as 1 pixel, solid and gray color, and padding as 10 pixel, and border radius as 20 pixel. So 10 pixel. I'm just giving this here. And we have another container. Container is display flex, justify content center, align items center. All this I kept. and height as 100 VH. Now I need to use this CSS in my JavaScript file. Then you have to import the CSS here. Import, what is the file? Dot slash, because it is in the same folder. What is it? Login dot what? CSS. You can import that here. If I import that login CSS, I can use those classes here. What is the class name? Class name is what? Container. Then when I apply class name container to the div, it will come like this. I need to apply the class name for form, class name for form login. Then automatically it will apply that style here. That means we are applying the effects from the CSS file. So we need to maintain a separate CSS file. We have to design the styles here, import the CSS file, and you can use. If you don't import the CSS file, it is not going to use that. You have to make sure that you imported the CSS file, then it will get the effects, right? So this is the basic process of designing a component. So here I used a little bit different hierarchy. In SRC, what? Components. In components, I used a login. And in that 3 files are there. First, we will design login.what? CSS. In login.css, this is the code. This is the code for login.css. I will copy that. Another one is login.jsx. In login.jsx, this is the code. So we have to import the CSS and give. And one more we have to do, index.what? JS. In index.js, don't do anything, just you have to change this login. That means I will just keep the code here. That means you need to import login and you have to put this. Right now, your application will start with that component. Right. Initially, what we do is we will create a component and keep it in the startup and see how it works. Later, once you learn the complete project, you will learn navigation from one place to another and all. Right. First, you need to try this. This is enough for today. First, you have to do all this. You need to create a project, create a component, and check whether it is working fine or not. Now, once you are good with this, that means once you know this, now what we can do is we can create the same Netflix like environment in this place. Previously, what we done? Netflix like environment we created in a general web application. Now Netflix like environment we can create in this application. So one more time, we will see the same Netflix like design in React 18, how we create separate files, how to maintain them and use them. That we'll see in tomorrow session. Right, in tomorrow session, we will continue with how to use these components. And up to end of React, we will work with this environment only. You have to create a project, right? Tomorrow we will continue, right? Thank you.